Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast, where grit meets growth. With your host, Nic Espanet, bringing you stories of resilience, reinvention, and the real climb to success.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Today we're joined by Nimi Natan. He is with Gulf Coast Small Business Lender, Small Business Lending Bank. I'll let him give you a little more information about that. Sounds like they're doing a lot of neat stuff there. Mimi, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Can you let our listeners know a little bit more about you and about what your business does?
Sure. Gulf Coast Small Business Lending. We're a wholly owned subsidiary of a Louisiana-based bank, Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, no coincidence. We are a large nationwide small business lender. We do SBA, USDA, franchise finance, lines of credit, the typical types of financing needs that small businesses have. As I said, we're based in Dallas, but we're a national lender, so we're in all 50 states.
And you guys, sounds like by your name, you focus just with small businesses, maybe people that are getting, what is a maximum loan size? Do y'all have a set limit with a small business that y'all?
Yeah, it's a good question. Our typical loans is probably $1 to $5 million.
Okay.
And that's typically through our SBA 7A program or 504. We are working with a few larger organizations using the USDA B&I program. So we have one that is 20 million and one that is $55 million.
Okay, so getting some bigger than that. That's not so small of a business.
Yeah, that's more medium size. Our bread and butter, our love, what we started this company to do is owner-operator businesses. And those typically will be revenues from, let's say, $500,000 to $10 million, something like that.
Very nice. Our typical bread and butter. Sounds like a nice niche. And you just think there's so many different areas to lend in that you guys have got a niche. You kind of focus on it. You could that really helps you provide your customers with better service. It's not a bank that's doing everything from individual car loans to massive loans, trying to do the small business. You guys are focused on it, on that demographic or that area that really helps people.
Yeah. And when we were acquired by a bank, so I started the business 14 years ago, and a bank acquired us 7 years ago. And that was always a strategy. We were successful. The bank wanted to focus on that niche nationwide, and we were the platform that was doing it. And when we were going, it wasn't really a negotiation, it was a conversation with the bank ownership. And one of my fears is they're not going to let me do what I love doing and what we've been successful, because we've seen a lot of examples of acquired specialty finance companies like ours get acquired by a bank. The bank just changes everything about them.
Gotcha.
And I was assured, no, that's not the reason why we're interested in you and your team, is because of how you do it and what you do. So we're going to support you, give you what you need, but basically leave you alone. And that's what the bank has done, to their credit. So we stayed very focused on owner operators. That's what we love to do.
That's awesome. So I'm sure there's a lot of competition in the banking world. What's something that sets you guys apart from other bankers out there or lenders?
I would, so on the SBA side, for example, which is the majority of our business, there are probably, I don't know, maybe 4,000 lenders out there, almost entirely banks, much bigger, much smaller. I think it's interesting to us what the competition is doing, but we really haven't, our approach to strategy and operations, certainly marketing, has not been so much, let's compare us to the competition. It's been very focused on the needs of the operators. So all of our loan officers, the BDOs, the people up on the front line, their attitude, their training is, let's figure out what you need, as opposed to let's try to sell you a product. So it's a it's a technical sale, if you will. It's a technical product. You really have to understand it. But first of all, you have to understand what the borrower is trying to accomplish. I think sticking to that for the last 12, 13 years, I think that's what set us. I don't want to say set us apart because other lenders might be doing the same thing. I just don't know. But it certainly allowed us to grow to our size and have a phenomenal set of borrowers and a phenomenal portfolio. Really understand the needs of the borrower. And if we can help, let's try to help.
That's awesome. What was there something along the path that you found easier that others may have found more challenging?
I would say, and that distinguishes us from other lenders, mostly banks, is the team is not out of a bank. So I was never part of a bank before being acquired by Gulf Coast. And even now, I'm not part of the bank. And my top team has similar background. They come from specialty finance. And banks are very, very focused on collateral. You go to the bank and say, I need $1 million. And they say, okay, we need $1 million or $2 million worth of collateral, your house, a building, what else do you have? Our approach, because we're not a bank and we're not trained as such, is far more on the ability of the business to repay the loan over time, not what happens if the loan goes bad and we have to liquidate. So that puts us into what some people call cash flow lending. So when a loan comes in, we look at the collateral. We have to as an SBA lender, but really our focus is how much cash does the business generate? What kind of debt can that kind of cash flow support? So I would say that part, and we've always done it this way, the focus on the ability of the business to repay the loan comfortably with a margin has served our borrowers and us well. We'll never try to lend too much because there is collateral. The appraisals are interesting, the valuations are interesting. It doesn't help the borrower pay the debt. It might or might not help the bank recover if the loan goes bad, but we're really
You
focused
don't
on not
want that.
making,
You
we
want
don't
that
want,
debt.
yeah, when we decline a loan or tell a potential borrower, look, we really like you, we really like the business, structure doesn't work. It's too much debt. In the back of our mind is we know the business cannot support that level of debt. Let's figure out a structure that allows them to support that debt. Because broker borrowers sometimes want the most they can get, but in many cases they might be taking on too much. And those are personally guaranteed full recourse loans. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to be in the liquidation business.
Sure. Right. Yeah, I would bet not. Yeah, you're trying to help people, but yeah, that's great being someone that can say, look, you're not going to make it. We don't want 6 months to 18 months to have to come after some of this stuff. So being able to have that
It's bad
tough
outcomes.
conversation or
Yeah.
knowing what it sounds
Nobody
like
wins.
it's kind of a relationship, but you're having to build that relationship with these potential borrowers and help them understand what they're setting up and
I it's still a very transactional business because banks talk about relationship all the time. And that's because they want deposits. We don't want deposits. We just want to give them money. So, and their need for money is typically revolves around an event, and it could be a once in a lifetime event. They're buying a building, they're buying a business, they're starting a business. So, yes, the relationship is important. What's more important is the trust that the loan officer builds with the borrower they never met before. They've never done a deal before.
mm,
And again, making sure that we understand exactly what they're trying to do and then tailor a structure that will work for them. Again, you said it. The last thing we want to do is put somebody into the wrong loan product. because everything else being equal, it can really hurt their business and their financial, their owner operator. So it can affect their entire, everything about their life. So we take that very, very seriously. So yes, a relationship, but it's not developed over years. It's developed over weeks as we work with them to structure a loan, because we try to close a loan in 30 to 60 days. So a lot of time pressure.
Yeah. So yeah, you're not getting to know them that well, but it sounds like you're taking care of your customers, making sure they're in the right product and not setting them up for failure. So I think you have a very customer oriented mindset. It sounds like.
I there are lenders who are much more driven by volume and closings. I've been in finance most of my professional life, and you gotta focus on the longer run. Just closing a loan and getting it over the hurdle, it's great, and there's a lot of happy people and glamour to closing loans, but financial institutions, banks, we live and die by our portfolio. We're perfectly aligned with the borrower. The borrower does well, we do well. The borrower doesn't do well, we don't do well either. So this being calm about it, being steady, not necessarily going for the flashiest of all deals or the wildest of all structures. When I interview, when I speak with potential new loan officers, I describe ourselves as boring. It's like we don't do anything crazy. We're not venture capitalists. We don't do high yield. We're just SBA lenders or USDA lenders. So that works for us. It's a steady growth, and the portfolio is in good shape, and that's very important. Our loans are 10 to 25 years, which means they're going to go through 1, 2, 3 economic cycles in their lifetime. So we have to plan for that. So again, calm approach, calm analytical approach is what works for us.
When knowing those cycles, it sounds like you're very well versed in that. So if someone listening wants to get better at understanding how to have those relationships with people or understanding how to underwrite loans, do you have any suggestions, any books, podcasts, anything that you've utilized?
If they want to get into our business,
or just grow, be better at the relationship side or the personal side or the, understanding loans and cycles, anything that you've felt helpful.
It's really, yeah. I think I actually have this question come at me. So what do you read in the morning? What do you wake up, you glance at the news, where do you go first? After doing it for I don't know how many years, we are very much driven by the Main Street economy, not Wall Street. We're affected by Wall Street, but things like employment, demographic shifts, cost of capital, which is a Wall Street and a Main Street thing, those are the things that drive our business. So what I would say is, it's not a question of learning the Excel and learning, that stuff is easy, and you can probably do that with AI now. Here's a financial statement, what do you think, AI? I think the understanding more the macro of our economy and where are we headed, and then looking at a smaller subset of the economy having to do with the industry, with the input into that industry, with the customers of that industry. Geography in the last 10 years, probably forever, but certainly in the last 10 years, as the North and the West moved south and east, certainly affected where you want to start a business or acquire a business, or in our case, lend to. So while we're not
Where that
focused
growth is.
on
Yeah.
Florida, Texas, and the obvious states, most of our loans are there, not because we targeted it, but because that's where a lot of the economy is moving.
Where the growth
So
is.
those are, I think when you assess as a credit person, as an underwriter, or somebody sitting on the loan committee like myself, or a loan officer who first meets a potential borrower and tries to understand whether there is an opportunity to provide capital, really the macros are very important. So I would say that's probably the best skill, is figuring out the context and where's the logistics industry going? Where's the oil and gas industry going? And then for our lending, we're a senior lender, and we stay away from sexy stuff anyway, but like nothing against crypto or AI or software, anything like that. But if we don't understand it, and we're probably average smart, if we don't understand it, we're just not going to do it. So that's another advice. So understanding is a big part of, to answer your question, gaining the ability to learn and understand is probably the most critical skill for underwriting.
Oh, good stuff. So what is one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your career?
In my career, it hasn't been not being excitable. I think that it wasn't that hard. It's a lot of hard work, but there's no eureka. My daughter is a scientist, so her livelihood depends on our ability to invent. We don't have to invent anything. So I think and then it's not physical labor, right? We're not digging ditches. Um, so I think it's not so much the challenge, it's not so much the difficulty, as much as being dedicated to doing it day in, day out, and doing what we know is the right thing to do and how to do it. What helped, and I've been doing small business lending for a long time, is that focus on Main Street. It brings a completely different set of challenges from Wall Street and larger companies,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to focus just on that segment, and which is more human, right? Because our success or failure on any one deal, any one loan, mostly depends on the person we work with, the borrower. There's no we. It's if when we back the right person, he does well, she does well, and we do well as well. So I think this focus and shifting, not spending less time with spreadsheets, but certainly spending more time with the person who is borrowing, I think that helped us a lot.
That's awesome. And knowing, like you said, knowing the industry, not the AI or Bitcoin and those things that you may not know as well, which makes it harder to understand the business. Just stay away,
We don't know
do
it.
what you know.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know any of it. And there are lenders, not just in our world of small business lending, but lenders and investors in general, who are very successful jumping into the latest fad and then cashing out before it crashes, or going for the long run. We're just not that. Again, give me a restaurant, give me a gym, give me a loan service company, give me a subcontractor, give me a lawyer, things that I can understand.
Oh, and those are industries that have been around for decades or centuries, some of them. So good
Yep.
stuff. Well, sounds like things are going really well business wise, and need a lot of busy executives start doing well. They they know you have to be doing something to make your money. So, is it something as you start having more success, do you start thinking more of ways to get involved with passive income or, either through investing in real estate or some other type of thing where you're not actually having to go out and work? Is that anything that you've ever thought about, or what are your thoughts on that?
You sound like my dad. So he says, because I got two masters, right? And my dad is like, if you're so smart, why do you work? Why do you have to work so hard? Get something that doesn't require to work all the time. I haven't. I plowed. Got a big family, so supporting kids and parents, and most of my, if you will, passive investments have been truly passive. I give it to my financial advisor and let them do what they do with it, or spending it on hobbies and a place at the beach and things like that. I have not been, I don't think anyone would describe me. I don't have the temperament to be an investor. At some point in my career, after business school, because I have scientific background, one of the consideration was going to venture capital.
Mm.
And I talked to venture capitalists uh, in Silicon Valley and actually in Princeton. And I'm like, man, I don't have the temperament. You guys are taking big bets, and I'm just not a gambler. So I think I took a less exciting path, maybe, but that's just me.
Hey, and that's knowing what your comfort level is I think
Yeah.
in following that is important. So
Yep.
as we're wrapping up the interview, what exciting plans or initiatives do you have in the works for the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah. So we continue to grow. We are going into, and we've been doing it for about a year now, into the USDA program. Bread and butter, what we started with was SBA 7A, and we're now branching out and doing USDA BNI. Those are programs that are designed by the government to support employment outside of the big cities. I forget the statistics, but something like 95% of the landmass of the US actually is in USDA territory. So this doesn't mean a farm or a field. This it can be a hotel as long as
Okay.
it's in rural areas and provides employment. So we're doing those. That allows us to support more small businesses, different program from the SBA, and do bigger loans. Traditionally, the SBA, for example, was a great loan program for hotels. Asset valuation has gone way up. It's hard to do a good hotel with an SBA loan right now because they're now 10 million, 15 million, $20 million.
So leverage.
USDA allows us to do that. So USDA is one. Another initiative that we started a little over a year ago as well is we have expertise in franchise finance, and we started a franchise finance business led by its own managing director, Bill Popa, out of Chicago. And their team is solely focused on franchises, restaurant, gyms, childcare centers, anything with a franchise agreement. And they can do more than SBA and USDA. They can actually do conventional loans. So this is, again, our philosophy of someone comes to you and say, I want to open a restaurant. I want to buy 10 restaurants. You don't immediately throw a product at them. You now have a multitude, a portfolio of products you can work with to make sure you give them the right one. So
Yeah.
those are the
Lots of
two
different
major, initiatives we have, the USDA and the franchise finance.
awesome. Good stuff. Sound like, and that's neat. You got different paths for different potential borrowers.
Yep. We're
Awesome.
very focused on diversity of the portfolio. So we're not smart enough to figure out an industry that is so much better than any other industry, or geography that is so much better than any other geography. The only thing we could figure out how to do is to diversify our portfolio among industries, operators, sizes, geographies, type of loans we do. So no one loan, not even the top 10 loans in our portfolio, if they all go bad, they don't hurt us. So going into USDA and going into franchise finance, not only do you have a set of owner operators that need capital, it also helps us in our diversification.
Well, it's so wise from something you said earlier. Your loans are 10 plus years, so you might go through 2 to 4 cycles. So
Yes.
if all your eggs are in one basket and that cycle's down, you're in trouble.
We don't do as an industry, in an industry, I guess it's true for everybody in banking and investment. Down cycle is painful. Defaults are up, charge-offs are up, bankruptcies are up. People's life is in disarray, communities. So we can't escape the economic cycle, but we make sure that when we structure a loan, it might get tough, but they're going to make it through the cycle.
Nice. Well, Mimi, thank you so much for your time today and sharing your tips and insights with our listeners. If people would like to get in touch with you and learn more about some of your products or your business, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Probably LinkedIn. Look me up at, my name is Nimi, Nimi Natan, Natan, or Gulf Coast Small Business Lending. Just Google it and we'll come up, and any of us can help. So just reach out and mention Nic when you write to us.
Yeah, let them know. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everyone, thank you for tuning in, and be sure to like and share this episode. And Nimi, thank you so much. It's been awesome learning about your business and learning about you.
Same here. Thank you so much. Bye, Nic.
Thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. If you've got grit, growth, and a great story, visit flexforwardpodcast.com/guest to apply and join us on the show.